Good morning. This is Sujata, Assistant Professor of Botany, Government Degree College Women. Today, I am going to give a lecture on chromosomes. Chromosomes are a rod-like structure present in the nucleus of all organisms. So these rod-like structures first observed by the scientist Carl Nageli in 1842. Later, Walder, another scientist, he named these darkly staining structures, that is rod-like structures, as chromosomes. Chromosomes means chromo, that is meaning color, soma, that is body. So these are stained, colored, that's why these are called the chromosomes. So these long thread-like DNA, chromosome means here DNA, thread-like DNA molecule packed in the chromosome that carries the genetic information in the form of genes. So these self-replicating chromosomes control all vital cellular activities of organisms. When we see the morphology of chromosomes, so we can study the chromosome shape and structure only in the phase of metaphase and anaphase, which are present in the cell division. In the remaining stages, the chromosomes in the resting phases, the chromosomes looks like a thread-like structure. But we can study the morphology of the chromosomes only in metaphase and anaphase of cell division. Because in these two stages, the chromosomes are highly condensed. Highly condensed. The symmetrical halves called as chromatids. The chromosomes, it has the symmetrical halves. So these symmetrical halves called as chromatids. So these chromatids remain separate except at the point called centromere. These two chromatids, these are attached only in the place of a structure that is centromere. At the centromere only these chromatids are attached. At the remaining place, these chromatids are separated. So the two parts of the chromosome present on either side of the centromere are called the arms of chromosomes. So these parts on either side of the chromosome we can call as arms of chromosomes. So when we see the morphology or structure of the chromosome it consists of the following parts. First one is the chromatid, next centromere, next is secondary constriction, next satellite, next telomere. So this is structure of the chromosome. So the first part in the chromosome is the chromatid. The first part of the chromosome is the chromatid. So at metaphase of cell division, each chromosome, it consists of two cylindrical structures. Each chromosome, it consists of the two structure. Those are cylindrical in structure. These are called the chromatids. So each chromosome has two chromatids. So these two sister chromatids, which are belongs to one chromosome, those chromatids we called as sister chromatids. So these sister chromatids are joined together by a common structure that is centromere. So at the centromere, these chromatids belonging to the one chromosome, those chromatids are called sister chromatids. So these sister chromatids are joined together at the place of centromere. Remaining place they are separated. A chromosome may have a single chromatid, that is we can see a single in anaphase and telophase, or two chromatids. At prophase and metaphase we can observe the two chromatids. So each chromatid of chromosome, it consists a single long thread of DNA which is associated with the histone proteins. Okay, in each chromatid, it consists a single long thread-like DNA with histone proteins. The next part of the chromosome is centromere. So each chromosome, it consists of the two chromatids, that is sister chromatids. So these two sister chromatids of a chromosome are joined or connected at the place of centromere. So at the centromere, two protein discs are present. These protein discs are called kinetochore. At the centromere, both sister chromatids attached or joined, and at the place of the centromere, protein discs are present. These protein discs are called kinetochore. During the cell division, the spindle fiber attached the chromosome at the kinetochore, which is present on the centromere. The next, these kinetochores, which are present on the centromere, they are the site for the attachment of spindles during the cell division. At the region of the centromere, the chromosome is comparatively narrow than remaining part of the chromosome. So that is, this part is called the primary constriction. So every chromosome, it has a narrow place, that is the constriction. So this narrow place, that is called primary constriction, that is called as centromere. So centromere is a primary constriction of the chromosome. At this place, the chromosome something narrow when we compare remaining part of the chromosome. So this constriction called as the centromere. At the centromere place, two chromatids joined, and this at the centromere, a disc-like protein structure is present, that is called as kinetochore. During the cell division, the spindle fibers attach at the kinetochore structure. Next part of the chromosome is secondary constriction. The primary constriction, that is called as the centromere. The primary constriction is called as the centromere. Besides primary constriction, there is a secondary constriction also present in chromosomes. These secondary constriction are non-staining. These secondary constrictions are non-staining. It does not take stain when we expose these chromosomes to stain, that is Esto caramel like that stains. So these secondary constriction do not take stain and found at a constant location. The function of these secondary constriction is it is nucleolar organizer region. The nucleolus organization takes place at the secondary constriction. So that's why this secondary constriction is also called as NOR. 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 NOR means nucleolar organizer region. Nucleolar organizer region. That means at the secondary constriction, the nucleolus organization takes place. That's why this secondary constriction is called as nucleolar organizer region. So next part of the chromosome is satellite. The satellite, it is a part of chromosome which present after the NOR. That means NOR means secondary constriction. The part which is present after the secondary constriction, that part is called as satellite. Satellite means it present after the secondary constriction. That part of chromosome is called as satellite. The next part of the chromosome is telomere. Telomere. So these chromosomes, they have the polarity. That means these chromosomes have polar ends. The polar ends of chromosomes are known as telomeres. The polar ends of the chromosome are called telomeres. So these telomeres prevents the fusion of one chromosome to other chromosome. So these telomeres prevent the fusion of chromosomes. So this telomere place is rich in guanine base. At this telomere, that end of the pole of chromosome, it is rich in guanine base. The enzyme telomerase, it synthesizes the telomere part of chromosome. So telomeres are the ends of the chromosome. The polar ends of the chromosome are called as telomeres. At this telomere place, guanine base is present more. It is present more. It is rich in guanine base. So the telomere synthesis, that is the telomere part of the chromosome, is synthesized by telomerase enzyme. So what is the function of the telomeres? It prevents the fusion of one chromosome with another. So the telomeres of the chromosome, they become shorter during aging process. During the aging process. So the chromosome, how many parts it consists of? When we study the morphology of the chromosome, chromatid, centromere, secondary constriction. Centromere means that is we can call as primary constriction. And third one secondary constriction. Fourth one satellite. Fifth one telomere. So these parts are present in the chromosome. So the number. When we see the number of chromosomes, the number of chromosomes are constant for every species. In each species, the chromosome number is constant. There is in one species, example, hibiscus roja sinensis. If there is chromosome number is how much? In every hibiscus roja sinensis, the chromosome number is fixed only. In human being, how many chromosomes are present? 46 or 23 pairs are chromosomes. So every human being, 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes are present. The chromosome number in every species is constant. So the total number of the chromosomes present in gametes, during the gametogenesis, gametes are produced. So the total number of the chromosomes present in gametes is considered as the basic set. In gametes, haploid number of chromosomes are present. So these haploid number of chromosomes are called as the basic set of that species. So this basic set of chromosomes are called as genome. That is called as genome. The basic set of chromosomes we called as genome, which is present in the gametes. The number that is called as genome. So in every organism, this number remains constant for generation. So this basic set is called as haploid number, and in short, we can write it as 1n. So this number is constant for every generation. There is no change in the number of these chromosomes. So for example, in Pisum sativum, the 1n is equal to 7. That is the haploid number, the genome, the basic set of Pisum sativum is 7 number. So it is constant for every generation of Pisum sativum. So next, the size of the chromosomes. So like number, the size of the chromosome in individual is also constant. So when we compare with animals, the chromosome size in plants are bigger, larger. When we compare with the animals, in plants, the chromosomes are larger in size. So in plants, in monocots, the chromosomes are larger in size than in dicots. So they show a lot variation in size and structure in different species. But in a cell, the size is constant. But all the chromosomes in a cell are not of the same size. If there is in human being, there is a 23 pairs. So in 23 pairs, all are not in same size. Some are short, some are long. There is a variation in the size of different chromosomes in a species. So there are some types of chromosomes. There are some types of chromosomes depending on the position of centromere. Position of centromere. Centromere means the primary constriction. Primary constriction. So depending on the primary constriction or centromere, the chromosomes are divided into 4 types. First one is telocentric. Second one is acrocentric. Third one is metacentric. Fourth one is submetacentric. So depending on the position of centromere or primary constriction, the chromosomes are divided into 4 types. So telocentric. So depending on the position of the centromere, the chromosomes are 4 types. That is the telocentric, acrocentric. Next one is the metacentric and submetacentric. So telocentric, the first picture is telocentric. That is when centromere is terminal. When centromere is terminal or located at the tip of chromosome, then it is called as telocentric. The centromere is present at the tip or terminal of the chromosome. So that is called as telocentric. The second picture is acrocentric. In this type, the centromere is subterminal. In telocentric, centromere is terminal, and in acrocentric, the centromere is subterminal or located near the tip. So in this, the arms are two. There is a variation that one are short and one are long. And next, third is the metacentric. So when the centromere is located at mid of the chromosome, centromere is located near the middle of the chromosome. That is something centromere is present slightly below the end portion of the chromosome. So in submetacentric, the centromere is located near the middle of the chromosome. Near the middle of the chromosome. So it results in the formation of 2 slightly unequal arms. This type of chromosomes, while moving to the poles during the cell division, they appear J or L-shaped structures. So in submetacentric, in metacentric, submetacentric, the centromere is in the slightly away from the center of the chromosome. Center of the chromosome. So it results the formation of slightly unequal arms. So during the cell division in anaphase, they look like J or L shape. And the last one is the metacentric. In metacentric, the centromere is at the center. The centromere is at the center and it forms the two equal arms and it appears in V shape during the anaphase. When the chromosomes move, then it appears V shape. So, depending on the position of centromere, the chromosomes are telocentric. That means telocentric means the centromere is terminal, and second one is the atrocentric. Here the centromere is subterminal, and next metacentric. In metacentric, the centromere is in the middle, and submetacentric, that is near the middle. Next, karyotype. Karyotype means the arrangement of complete set of all the chromosomes present in a diploid cell. Present in a diploid cell. So the arrangement of complete set of all chromosomes which are present in the diploid cell is called as karyotype. So in karyotype, the preparation of a number of chromosomal characters such as a number, size, length, position of centromere, they have to take into consideration. So this karyotype is useful in different species to understand the phylogenetic relationship. This karyotype is useful to understand the phylogenetic relationships. With help of this karyotype, it throws a light on advanced characters and primitiveness of a species of a genus. So, the karyotype, it is again two types, asymmetrical and symmetrical karyotype. Asymmetrical karyotype means which karyotype exhibit large differences. Here the karyotype means the arrangement of the chromosome, the complete set of chromosomes. If these exhibit a large difference in size and has fewer metacentric chromosomes, then this type of karyotype is called as asymmetrical. Asymmetrical karyotype. Example, ginkgo biloba. And next one is the symmetrical karyotype. Symmetrical karyotype means they exhibit a low differences, not much large, only some differences. They exhibit some differences in size, length, and has more metacentric chromosomes. This type of karyotype is called as symmetrical karyotype. So in asymmetrical karyotype, there are large differences in size and only metacentric chromosomes present. But in symmetrical, it exhibits only few differences in size and length, and it has more metacentric chromosomes. So this type of karyotype is called as the symmetrical karyotype. So this is karyotype images. First one is a asymmetrical. So there is a much variations in size and length. That is in ginkgo biloba example. And second one, B is the symmetrical karyotype. See, there are few differences only in size and length. Example, Pinus. Ideogram. So ideogram means the diagrammatic representation of karyotype is called as a ideogram. The diagrammatic representation of a karyotype called as the ideogram. So it shows the all morphological features. The ideogram shows all morphological features. All morphological features of chromosomes it shows. So in ideogram, the chromosomes are arranged in decreasing order of size. In ideogram, the chromosomes are arranged in decreasing order of size. So the sex chromosomes are placed in last. In every human organism, autosomes and allosomes are present. So the allosome, the sex chromosomes are placed first, later autosomes. So this ideogram also specific for every species. It is not common in all species. For every species, it is specific. This ideogram is specific. Next, euchromatin. Euchromatin means when the chromosomes, the chromosome is made up of chromatin. So when the chromatin stained with the stains like acetocarmine or fulgen, etc., when this chromatin stained with the stains, so the different parts of the chromosomes stained differently. Depending on the intensity of staining, the chromatin is two types. So when the chromatin, that is chromatin means chromosomes, this chromatin when we stain with acetocarmine or fulgen, etc., then the different parts of the chromosome take different types of stain. So depending on the intensity of the staining, the chromatin is two types. One is euchromatin and second one is heterochromatin. Euchromatin and heterochromatin. So euchromatin means the parts of the chromosome which stains lightly with acetocarmine, at which place where the chromatin is less condensed. In chromatin, some places it is condensed more, in some places condensed light. So where the chromatin less condensed or loosely arranged, so this part it stains lightly with stains, that is acetocarmine. So this part is called as euchromatin. So the part of the chromatin where it loosely arranged or less condensed, that part it stains lightly. So that is called as euchromatin. So this region genetically active and they contain genes which encode proteins, and second one is the heterochromatin. Heterochromatin, it is the part of chromatin which part highly condensed parts of the chromatin. Some parts they highly condensed, where such as centromere, telomere, secondary constriction. So these parts are highly condensed. So these parts they take dark stain. Such darkly stained chromatin is named as heterochromatin. Heterochromatin. So these regions, the heterochromatin, the dark stained parts, they contain high repetitive DNA sequences. They contain high repetitive DNA sequences. So in this heterochromatin region, very few genes present that encode proteins. Very few genes that code for the proteins are present. So this heterochromatin again two types, constitutive heterochromatin and facultative heterochromatin. Next, our topic is special types of chromosomes. Special types of chromosomes. So normally general chromosomes are present, that is normal, but in some organisms, some special cells, they contain special chromosomes. Special chromosomes means they are structurally different. They are structurally different from normal chromosomes. So these structurally different chromosomes are called special types of chromosomes. So these special types of chromosomes are three types. One is salivary gland chromosomes and Lamb-Brush chromosomes and B chromosomes. Lamb-Brush chromosomes, salivary gland chromosomes and B chromosomes. So first we discuss about the Lamb-Brush chromosomes. So Lamb-Brush chromosomes, first these are observed in some amphibians. First these are observed in some amphibians. Example, salamander oocytes. Salamander oocytes. So later these chromosomes are observed in many vertebrates and invertebrates oocytes. So these are in plants. These type of chromosomes also observed in acetabularia, in which the nucleus is enlarged. So the main character of these Lamb-Brush chromosomes are the paired loops. It consists of paired loops developed in these chromosomes. These paired groups, they give this, you see, this is the image of Lamb-Brush chromosomes. The main character of these Lamb-Brush chromosomes are the paired loops. It consists of loops-like structure on either side of the axis. So these paired loops, it gives a appearance like a brush, lamp brush, which we use to clean the chimneys, lamps. So it looks like a brush which used to clean the chimneys. So that's why we use a lamp brush, the brush which is used for the clean the lamp. So it looks like a lamp brush. It consists of the loops on either side of the axis. So that's why we call this Lamb-Brush chromosomes. So these chromosomes, they exhibit a prominent change in their structural organization during the diploiting stage of meiosis division. So in these chromosomes, an abnormal increase in the length takes place. So from a single chromomeric loci, many pairs of loops may be formed. For example, sometimes in some species, in example of the salamander oocyte, there are 10,000 loops are there. 10,000 loops are there. So at this stage, consisting so many loops, at this stage, this chromosome looks typically like a lamp brush. Typically like a brush-like structure. So these loops can be recognized by their size and structure. These loops they developed at the same loci. These loops they developed at the same loci. That's why these loops are useful in mapping. So these loops represent the gene loci and they are associated with the gene activities. And also it is believed that the mRNA and other material which are required for the individual, they are provided by these loops of the chromosomes. So these loops, that is, which are present in the Lamb-Brush chromosome, these loops they arise at a same loci. That's why these are useful in the genetic mapping. And the next type of special chromosomes are salivary gland or collagen chromosome. These salivary glands chromosomes are first observed by scientist Balbioni in salivary glands of some dipteran insects. Later, these chromosomes also observed in the salivary glands of Drosophila melanogaster. So these salivary gland chromosomes, the chromanimata present, it replicates many times. In this chromosome, the chromanimata, it replicates many times without a nuclear division. That's why a number of chromonimata present in these chromosomes. Hence, that's why these chromosomes are called polytin. The chromonimata, it replicates many times, but there is no nuclear division. That's why it consists a number of chromonimata. So, due to the presence of number of chromonimata, these chromosomes are called polytin chromosomes. Polytin chromosomes. In Drosophila melanogaster, these polytin chromosomes, it consists of 1,000 DNA molecules arranged side by side. So, these chromosomes are characterized by a definite pattern of transverse band. So, look at the image. These chromosomes, that is salivary gland chromosome, it is consists of a pattern of transverse bands. The dark bands are euchromatic, and between two such bands, chromatic, interbands also present. Dark bands and interlight bands. Dark, inter. These are dark light. These are present alternately bands. So these bands are interbands represent a gene positions, and they are very important and useful in genetic mapping. The bands, that is dark and light bands, they represent the gene position. So it is useful to mapping of the chromosomes. And apart from these bands, these chromosomes also they consist of the puffs. Yes, puffs means that is the swelling of puffs, where the DNA unfolds into open loops due to the intense gene transcription. Then the puffs are formed. So these puffs are first named by the scientist Balbiani. So that's why these are called Balbiani rings or Balbiani puffs. Balbiani rings are Balbiani puffs. So these puffs are swelling structure. Why this swelling structure? Where the DNA unfolds. It unfolds due to the intense gene transcription. So these puffs are named by Balbiani. That's why these are called the Balbiani puffs or Balbiani rings. Balbiani rings. Next, this is the polytin chromosomes, that is the salivary gland only, because in Drosophila, already I told no, that is the chromonimata replicates many times without nuclear division. That's why it consists of number of chromonimata. So that's why we call the polytin chromosomes. Next, third type of the special chromosomes is the B chromosomes. B chromosomes, that is the already diploid, that is autosomes and allosomes are present. These autosomes and allosomes are called A chromosomes. Besides these A chromosomes, B chromosomes are also present in some plants and animals. So these B chromosomes, they are not homologous to the any A chromosomes. A chromosomes means here autosomes and allosomes generally consist in plants. So these are not homologous to normal chromosomes. So these B chromosomes are commonly seen in those plants where cross-pollination takes place. So in Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms, these B chromosomes are present. And these B chromosomes, they are not homologous to the normal chromosomes. They carry a very little genetic information, and these B chromosomes are known to help in the information of nucleolus. So when these B chromosomes more in number, they control the vigor and fertility in plants. And also it is believed that these B chromosomes, they show influence on weight and height of the plants in which they are present. Of course, it is believed that these B chromosomes, they show influence on the weight and height of the plants. Thank you.